we've looked at the Tshwane electricity bills. We've looked at the different ways in which we can save money. We've discussed the tax benefit options. We've discussed the financing options. But does this actually work? Does this model work? Does this financial investment actually does it warrant all the effort that we're going through? The answer is a resounding yes. We create a rather comprehensive Excel model that incorporates and introduces and includes all these different parameters, all these different tools that we can use, or ways that we can save money, and we've calculated the financial value of that. So without laboring the point, let's jump into that and look at what the numbers add up to. All right. The financial model input, the parameters that drive the model. So all these numbers marked in yellow, these are the ones that actually drive the model. So the system that we're analyzing is an 82 kilowatt system, 82 kilowatt peak, that's the amount of solar panels. That will harvest at this particular location 371 kilowatt hour per day. The facility's consumption is 332 kilowatt hour a day. So that's what the consumption is. And we built the model on the consumption, not on the potential harvest, because the consumption is obviously that's what you're using and that's what you'll be saving. All right. The capital outlay for this project is almost 1.2 million rand. There is 125%, the 12DA of the Tax Act, as we discussed. Company tax 27%. Network demand exceedance. In this model, we have a built-in the way to calculate demand exceedance. So demand exceedance is at some sites that we've done, the actual facility uses more power than what the planned supply was. So it's actually an overload. It's called an exceedance. There's quite an expensive charge to that, so we can model that too. That's not included in this one, but we can model that. Then peak shaving, or remember the peak shaving. In this particular case, we can cut 10 kilowatts, kilovolt ampere kVA off the top of your peak demand. So we can shave 10 kVA off. That is the difference between, arbitrage. Remember arbitrage, the way we play with the tariffs to use cheap rather than expensive energy. So the difference between cheap and expensive is 1.76 for this year for this particular area. The daily consumption in the period is 77 kilowatt hours, and the usual battery capacity is 96. So obviously the battery needs to be bigger than the amount of peak energy that you use. Otherwise you can't replace the cheap energy or the expensive energy with cheap energy. So that's just to keep that sanity check there. Fixed fee not relevant in this model. Initial tariff, remember we do two calculations for your levelized cost of energy. 222 is the logger data that we worked out. The levelized cost of energy is 222 for Tshwane. When we did the summary of the electricity bills, we got 230. So again, we will use the more conservative number. Feed-in, yes, we are allowed to feed in. Tshwane did publish a feed-in tariff of 78 cents per kilowatt hour if your system has been approved and you have that approval of the new meter. Baseload not relevant for now. Selling tariff, if you had tenants that rent space from you and they buy electricity, obviously what tariff are you selling the energy to your tenants to? Again, not modeled in this model, in this example. Escalation, well, that's your guess as good as mine. What is the annual Eskom tariff escalation going to be? I know the plan currently they've got on the table some 35% for next year. Is it going to be that? I'm not sure. I don't think so, but definitely it's going to be lower than 12%. So we've got 12 in there as a number to work with. Your guess is as good as mine. We can adjust that in real time and then just see how the impact will change the model. Degradation of solar panels. Panels are guaranteed for 25 years. In that 25 years, they will not lose more than 20% of their capacity. So we don't model year one the same as model year 20. In year 20, we know that it would have degraded over time. And you'll see later in the actual tables that we work out year per year per year the reduction of energy that we can expect from the solar panels. Insurance, just a ballpark number. Maintenance, a ballpark number. Again, what the annual system check or the safe to operate system check will be. That's just a ballpark number. Component replacement, that's just the battery. We know that the battery will last for 10 years. It's got a guarantee for 10 years, and we size it accordingly that the cycles will actually get us through 10 years. The plan for the system is to last for 20 years. So that means the second battery will have to be installed in year number 9, 10. You'll see we model that as well. Then we've got CPI at 8.5. I think that's actually come down now, to be honest. Cost of capital, we've got 18%, so that's one of the expensive ones. Obviously, if we lower that number, if you can get a better rate than that from your bank or from one of the third-party suppliers, then or financiers, then that number will come down. Workdays 5.5, why is that important? Well, there's 1.5 days that you are not consuming energy, well, not much, and we can sell that energy to Tswane. So in the feed-in, we'll see just now, that will just be 1.5 day of the available energy per day that we're selling back to Tswane, hopefully to get that revenue from Tswane. Load shedding hours only relevant if you had a grid-out system installed. If the grid-out system does not work when the grid is off, then you'll obviously be losing that potential energy. So we model that as well, but again, not relevant in this model as there's a battery available. So we're looking at the graph is a little bit more friendly. As you can see, years on the horizontal axis and obviously money on the vertical axis. We start off at minus 700,000 Rand. That's after the tax modification. You'll see the system breaks even just after 2 years, and it continues growing. There's year 9-10 where we replace the battery, taking a bit of a knock in the growth of the investment, but then it continues growing. So we're just showing 12 years on this graph. 12 years later, we're sitting at 5.5 odd million Rand, as we saw in the table on the left-hand side. So the picture tells 1,000 words. Okay, and then to see the value of the investment in numbers, here we have simple payback period. The system pays itself back in less than 3 years. We saw that on the graph. The net present value is 5.8 million Rand. We saw the system cost now at just less than 1.2. Net present value at 5.8 million Rand, so incredible. The internal rate of return 50%. Very few investments make that sort of return. Simple levelized cost of energy 64 cents. As we saw, the Tswane power at this stage is 222, 230 odd. And then the real levelized cost, that's real levelized cost of energy that's adjusted now for inflation and the degradation, etc. Works out at 1 Rand 40. So your energy will cost you less than half of what it's currently, or about half what the current cost is projected for the next 20 years. So again, investment that can be beat. If you do it right with SolarIntelligence, it's an investment that you have to get going before the end of February next year. We love the earth.